Hello, YouTube. Today, I'm going to be doing a reaction video to the Iowa versus Henry Dinkins. I have watched the whole trial, and I'm telling you, it just makes me sick to my stomach. I'm going to start my video right here with Aisha Langford. Aisha Langford is the mother of BREASIA TERRELL. And in case you haven't heard the backstory, BREASIA TERRELL turned up missing after spending the night at Henry Dinkins' home. And what happened was her brother wanted to spend time with his father, and so the mother, Aisha Langford, she told Henry that he could pick him up. So they met Henry on the 8th. He picked the children up on the 9th at her mother's home, which is where she was staying at. Now, Aisha Langford was only 19 when she met Henry Dinkins, who was telling her that he was in his 20s, but he was in his 40s, and she was just 19. But her and Henry Dinkins stayed together long enough to make a baby. At the time she met him, she had already had two children. She had a 5-year-old son, and she had 2-year-old BREASIA. So let's, which that means that she started out young. If she's 19 and she already has a 5-year-old son, she had to start having children around 13 or 14, which is, that's a bad thing for a young girl to start having babies that early. But anyway, she was taking care of them, and she was doing the best she could. So even though she had to move in with her mother, she was still doing the best she could by her children. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit or go back a little bit so y'all can see the picture of Henry Dinkins and BREASIA. I guess it's on here. That's BREASIA. Let's go back a little bit farther. There they are. Okay. Now, this is Mr. Henry Dinkins. This is 10-year-old BREASIA TERRELL. Now, this is not my content. This is the content of Court TV. But that was the only way that I could find BREASIA and a picture of Henry Dinkins. Now, Henry Dinkins is now 51 years old, and BREASIA is now 10 years old. Henry Dinkins picks up BREASIA's baby brother, which is named DL, at the grandmother's home. And the grandmother tells DL wants BREASIA to come along for the sleepover, but the grandmama tells BREASIA that she can't go. But Henry Dinkins convinced BREASIA to get in the car. Also, BREASIA's 13-year-old brother wants to go, but Henry Dinkins tells him no, he can't go because there's not enough room in the car, which was a lie, because a back seat will seat 3 people real comfortable. But I think he had his eyes on this young girl. Matter of fact, I believe he did have his eyes on this young girl. And people are not sure whether Henry Dinkins told Aisha Langford, BREASIA's mother, that he was a child molester. Well, he molested that first child when he was 17, and that child was 5 years old. So I'm quite sure that when Henry Dinkins introduced himself to Aisha Langford, he did not tell her that he was a convicted child molester. Otherwise, I'm sure that Aisha would not have let him around her children. But anyway, let's move on. Henry Dinkins picks up DL, Breasia's younger brother, and her at her grandmother's home. The evening is going just fine. The children are playing video games. Uh, Breasia was watching his girlfriend do her work at AT&T, and they took a bath and they ate. When they took a bath, Henry Dinkins gave them his large t-shirts to sleep in, which he is a 4XL. And even though Aisha's mother, even though Breasia's mother had bought night clothes for them to sleep in, because after the grandmother called her and told her that Breasia had left with Henry Dinkins, when she got off from work, she dropped clothes off over there. And when Aisha came down to the car to get the clothes, they said everything was fine. She was smiling and everything. Okay, the children have taken a bath and they have eaten, and Henry yells in there and tells DL that at 12 o'clock he got to get off that gang. So Breasia goes to bed first. She is laying at the top of the bed, and her brother is at the foot of the bed. Well, sometime between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock, Henry Dinkins removes Breasia from the bed. Now, in order for you to understand how this apartment works, it's a very small apartment. The living room and the kitchen are combined, and the bedroom is, if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go through the bedroom. So he would have, seen her laying there in that bed. Well, when Henry Dinkins removed Breasia from that bed, she kicked her brother really hard, and it hurt him. So he woke up, and this young 8-year-old boy claims that he was able to look down the stairs and see Henry Dinkins and his sister leaving the apartment. Okay, Henry Dinkins was living in Jersey Metal Apartments with his girlfriend. Now, the girlfriend woke up at 3:30 and she noticed that Breasia was no longer in the bed. But she said she didn't have her glasses on, so once she put her glasses on, she made sure that Breasia was no longer in the bed, because Breasia was laying at the top of the bed and her brother was at the bottom of the bed. The brother was still in the bed, but Breasia was gone. And now you have to remember that Breasia had on one of Henry's 4XL t-shirts, some black shorts, and a bra when he took her out of that apartment. Now, they say that Henry went all kind of directions until he got to that RV, and you could tell by the headlights that was him. And I believe that at that RV is where he molested this 10-year-old girl. But then, around about 3:30, he comes back to the apartment, and he tries to be real sneaky coming in, walking up the steps, real quiet like. Lord have mercy. Real quiet like, as not to wake up his girlfriend. But when his girlfriend woke up at 3:30, she did not go back to sleep. She stayed awake, sitting up in the dark. So when Henry came in the apartment at 3:30, she was already awake. but she didn't question him as to where he had been or where BREASIA was. Henry went over there and started digging around in his closet, and everybody thinks that he was digging around for a gun that he stuck down in his pants so his girlfriend couldn't see it. I mean, if you a 4XL, you got a lot of fat on you. You can hide a gun. So his girlfriend looks out of her bedroom window, which is over the parking area, and she sees 10-year-old BREASIA standing down there in the dark outside of this Impala. They said it was a maroon Impala. She was just standing beside the car in the dark. And the girlfriend says that she knows that was BREASIA because BREASIA had dreadlocks in her hair. And remember, she had on Henry's extra large t-shirt. Okay. Now, Mr. Henry stops at a quick stop and buys a full tank of gas and some other things, and he is wearing a white beater t-shirt and some kind of shorts with a design on them. But those were not the clothes he had on when he showed up at the police department. So I'm saying he took this 10-year-old girl back to that RV to molest her some more, and then once he got through doing it the second time, Mr. Henry Dinkins returned back to the apartment and picked up his 8-year-old son, which makes no sense. Why would you wake up a child in the middle of the night to take them to Walmart? He drove to another state when they had a Walmart right next to those Jersey Meadow apartments. Mr. Henry Dinkins drove to another state to go to a Walmart where he purchased some bleach. Now, DL never mentioned that whether BREASIA was in the backseat of that car when Henry went into that Walmart to purchase that bleach. Her brother never mentioned it. Anyway, Henry purchased the bleach, drives back out to someplace in Clinton where there was a lot of trees, a lot of woods, and a pond. And supposedly he executes 10-year-old BREASIA. He shoots her once through the jaw and then twice in the shoulder. And then his son says he got a machete out the car. He cut some bushes down. He poured bleach all over this child's body, and he just left her there, dead. Which Henry told his son that he was fishing out there, which we all know is a lie, because when he tried to leave, he got stuck, and another man had to pull him out. He got stuck trying to leave. This is just my reaction to what the events that took place on between July 9th and July 10th of 2020, yeah. They didn't find this child's body for 9 months. By the time they found her body, it had mummified. Wasn't nothing left but some clothes and some bones. And for 9 months, this man walked around like he hadn't done nothing, knowing he had killed that child. He knew it. For some reason, he was locked up, and he told the inmates in jail that they would never find her body. And his sister, in all her, I guess you have to call her innocent, but his sister seems to think that he is innocent, and he is not, honey. This man molested and murdered this 10-year-old girl. And I'm hoping and praying that the judge will find him guilty. because the next morning he didn't call Aisha Langford, which is BREASIA's mom, until 8 o'clock. And he says when he woke up, BREASIA was gone. This man did not sleep all night. All night he was traveling up and down the highway, back and forth to his RV, out there to those Clinton Islands where he left her little 10-year-old body. This man either deserves the death sentence or life in prison. And if you watch the trial and the interviews, when he went into the police station, he was not wearing the same clothes that he had on when he stopped at the quick stop to get the gas. Who changes their clothes in the middle of the night? This man is guilty as two left shoes. And I have to give a big thumbs up to the prosecuting attorneys because they laid this case out. They mapped out his every movement during that night. Starting from when he left at home at 2:32 a.m. on July the 10th, the morning of July the 10th, all the way up until when he came back and got his son at 5:30. And I don't know what was going through his mind. Why would he go and get his son and bring his son with him to witness what he was about to do to his little sister? He witnessed the machete, he smelled the bleach, and this man told him he was out there fishing. But he wasn't fishing, he was covering his tracks. He was covering up what he had done to this little girl. 10 years old. She was only in his presence not even 24 hours. And him being a sexual predator and a pedophile, he just had to have her. And that was why he wanted her to wear that 4XL t-shirt so he could have easier access to her little body when she went to sleep. People like this don't deserve to walk free. And I'm just praying that the judge will find Henry Dinkins guilty of first-degree murder and first-degree kidnapping, because that child would have never left that apartment if he had not taken her out of there. Her grandmama said she was a sound sleeper. Her mother said she was a sound sleeper. So she would have never left that apartment if 51-year-old Henry Dinkins hadn't had desires on her and took her out of there so he could molest her. All right, YouTube. This is just my reaction to the Iowa versus Henry Dinkins, in which a 10-year-old girl came up missing after a sleepover, and 9 months later they found her remains in a wooded area in Clinton. This man is guilty, and he shows no remorse. And I hope the judge, he elected not to have a trial by jury. It's just a judge. And I hope the judge will find him guilty on both counts, murder and kidnapping. Rest in peace, baby girl. All right, guys. Y'all stay healthy, stay blessed, and I'm out.